This year's Miss Universe crisis demonstrates just how unpleasant beauty pageants have become. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and for the scandal-ridden Miss Universe pageant, this is becoming a big part of the problem. Opaque and subjective voting criteria have made it difficult to unravel the web of accusations surrounding this year's final. The question of whether Miss Mexico, Fátima Bosch, should have won is no longer about her performance on stage, but about accusations of electoral fraud, secrecy, and favoritism. One of the judges on the show, Omar Harfuch, has made numerous accusations on social media since resigning from his position, days before last Friday's final. Among these claims, the Franco-Lebanese composer asserted that 30 finalists were pre-selected in a secret ballot by an impromptu jury composed of individuals who were not part of the official judging panel, an accusation the Miss Universe organization denied. Perhaps even more controversial, he claimed that Bosch's victory was also rigged, influenced by business ties between the pageant's co-owner and president of the Miss Universe organization, Raul Rocha Cantu, and the Mexican beauty queen's father. Neither the Miss Universe organization nor Rocha Cantu's lawyer responded to CNN's request for comment. Regarding this latter claim, Rocha Cantu told Mexican journalist Adela Meca that a contract her company had with the Mexican state oil company Pemex, where Bosch's father is an advisor, was awarded through a fair public bidding process, prior to her co-ownership of the Miss Universe pageant. Pemex stated in a press release that it had a temporary contract with companies linked to Rocha Cantu in 2023, although it emphasized that the relationship no longer exists. On Wednesday, the pageant was embroiled in offstage drama when Mexico's Attorney General's office announced that Rocha Cantu is being investigated for alleged ties to an organized crime network involved in drug trafficking, arms dealing, and fuel theft. Rocha Cantu's lawyer also did not respond to CNN's request for comment on these allegations. However, the pageant director has posted several statements and videos on social media in recent days condemning the other accusations. In a defiant three-part Instagram post, Rocha Cantu denied Harfuch's accusations, calling him an opportunist who exploits the claims to gain followers. The consequences have been disastrous for the pageant organizers. Olivia Yake, the delegate from Ivory Coast and fourth runner-up, who many viewers felt should have won the crown and who, according to Harfuch, was excluded from the competition, solely because she might face visa problems, has relinquished her Miss Universe Africa and Oceania title, declaring in a carefully worded statement that she wanted to remain true to her values. Shortly afterward, Rocha Cantu seemed to acknowledge that the validity of the contestants' passports was one of the many aspects to consider. Speaking about Yake's Ivorian citizenship in her interview with Micah, she added, "She's going to be the Miss Universe who spent a whole year in an apartment because of the cost of the visa application process with lawyers, so requires 6 months' notice. The year's already passed, hasn't it?" Even before the final, the competition had already been plagued by controversy. Earlier in the month, a Thai director of the pageant reprimanded Bosch during a meeting, prompting a mass withdrawal of contestants. Reputation for being scandalous, often situated at the intersection of politics and national pride, pageants have proven to be hotbeds of scandal. This year's debacle is just the latest to befall Miss Universe, its contestants, and its global franchises, the network of national pageants that selects each country's representative. In the last 5 years alone, local pageant organizers have faced accusations of discriminatory entry requirements, France, sexual harassment, Indonesia, and xenophobia, South Africa. Meanwhile, at Miss USA 2023, Noelia Voigt resigned her title via a cryptic social media post related to mental health that seemingly contained the message, "I'm being silenced," written with the first letters of the opening 11 sentences, sparking rumors of a strict non-disclosure agreement. Days later, Miss Teen USA also relinquished her title. In 2024, the then Miss Teen USA, Uma Sofia Srivastava, and Miss USA, Noelia Voigt, resigned within a few days of each other. Craig Barrett/Getty Images. The type of controversies surrounding Miss Universe 2025 are nothing new in beauty pageants, said Hilary Levy-Friedman, a sociologist and author of Here She Is, The Complicated Reign of the Beauty Pageant in America. People have been saying for a long time, "My God, it was rigged." They knew someone, or there's a conflict of interest, she stated, adding that commercial interests are nothing new either. These pageants have always had a strong commercial past and a tradition of men as owners and women as participants. Miss Universe, co-owned by Donald Trump from 1996 to 2015, is, first and foremost, a business. While the organizers arguably have a moral obligation to impartiality and a duty of care toward the contestants, the pageant's integrity is primarily a matter of reputation. It is not a public institution. Racha Cantu reminded her critics on Instagram earlier this week. "We've not received public funding or sponsorships from any public entity." Fight for relevance. In recent years, columns dedicated to the controversies surrounding pageants seem to have overshadowed interest in the competitions themselves. This raises the inevitable question: does anyone really care? Miss Universe may be known as the Super Bowl of pageants, but this year's final wasn't even televised in English in the United States. It was only available there via streaming, although Telemundo broadcast it live in Spanish. It's a huge difference from 20 years ago, let alone 50. Friedman said, adding, "The viewership has dropped a lot, but the media coverage of scandals is incredibly high. It's just fascinating." Widely criticized by feminists and others for promoting singular beauty standards and archaic notions of femininity, the decline of pageants points to broader social changes. Whether beauty pageants, events that, almost by definition, objectify women, should have any role in today's world is a matter of debate. But even those who support their continuation might struggle to argue that some aspects of pageants are not hopelessly outdated. The recent changes to the Miss Universe rules, while touted as modernizing, are decades behind the times. The new regulations that finally allow women over 28, mothers, and married women to participate, a concession made, surprisingly in this decade, were hardly revolutionary. Meanwhile, the pageant's swimsuit, read, bikini, competition persists years after contests like Miss World and Miss America abandoned it in favor of slightly more modest alternatives such as sportswear parades. But Friedman pointed to a fundamental conflict between modernization efforts and the glitz and glamour that events need to draw audiences. They try to be more academic, more focused on platform themes like social service, that sort of thing, he said. But that's not very exciting to watch, is it? "I think there are so many opportunities for women today," said Friedman, who is also the daughter of the late Pamela Eldred, Miss America 1970. "Back when they were so popular, it was partly because women simply didn't have as many avenues to pursue their ambitions, develop careers, and that sort of thing. So I guess in some ways, you could say that pageants are victims of their own success. Too little too late for Miss Universe. Immediate relief could come from the introduction of clearer voting criteria and auditing processes." Pageant organizers had previously hired the accounting firm Ernst & Young to oversee the voting, though it's unclear whether this year's competition was audited, or, if so, by whom. Critics were quick to point out that the results were read from a single sheet of paper rather than drawn from a sealed envelope, as was the norm in the past. The Miss Universe organization did not respond to CNN's request for comment. It may be too late for major pageants to reform and regain their cultural relevance, but dismissing their future entirely ignores the high regard in which they are held in many countries outside the West, such as the Philippines, where pageants enjoy almost national status. Supporters also point out that many beauty queens use their platforms to promote and raise funds for charitable causes. Some have used pageants to help their families and themselves escape poverty. For example, this year's Miss Philippines, Atisa Manalo, says she paid for her university studies through a combination of scholarships and pageant prize money. Let's not forget that it's often the women themselves, not the organizers, who suffered during these scandals. Earlier this week, Bosch posted screenshots of the litany of abusive messages she received from social media users unhappy with last Friday's results. "In recent days, I've received insults, attacks, and even death threats for one reason only. Because I won," she wrote on Instagram. But Bosch's ability to speak out exemplifies one way beauty pageants are changing for the better, according to Friedman. While social media is increasingly becoming a source of controversy for franchise owners, it has simultaneously empowered contestants by expanding their platforms and allowing them to voice their concerns publicly. "I think the difference is that now people have a way to spread their message in a way they didn't have before," Friedman said, adding, "The hashtag #MeToo movement and the focus on feminist narratives have led to women having a more public voice. And ironically, or perhaps not, that has also happened in beauty pageants."